The state-run Punjab National Bank on Friday reported an alleged loan fraud of 2,434 crore rupees to the Reserve Bank of India. The fraud is allegedly committed by erstwhile promoters of the two non-banking finance companies, the Srei Equipment Finance and Srei Infrastructure Finance. The big development comes 4 years after RBI ordered insolvency action against Srei Infrastructure Finance and the Equipment Finance Company. While a fraud of 1,241 crore rupees was reported in case of Equipment Finance, a total of 1,193 crore rupee fraud was reported against the ousted promoters of Srei Infrastructure Finance Company. The bank said that the declaration of these two accounts as frauds is based on a forensic audit. The Srei Group, however, has challenged the forensic audit report, noting that the matter is currently sub judice. And this is not the first time that Srei Group has been under scanner. Earlier, banks like Punjab and Sindh Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India also declared a loan fraud in connection with the Srei companies. The group has been undergoing an insolvency resolution process in 2021. The entities with financial debt amounting to 32,700 crore rupees went through resolution under the IBC, or the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, and the new promoter, the National Asset Reconstruction Company, acquired them in December of 2023. The bank has clarified that it has already made full provisions for this amount, meaning that it has set aside money to cover potential losses. This comes as regulators tighten scrutiny on bad loans and governance failures in the banking system. The development, however, brings back memories of the biggest banking scandal in India's history, the Nirav Modi Mehul Choksi fraud, where PNB suffered losses amounting to 14,000 crore rupees due to misuse of letters of undertaking and serious internal control failures. While this is the latest unrelated case, it once again raises questions about oversight, accountability, and how effectively India's public sector banks are managing risks, even after years of repeated banking scandal. The story also underlines one key issue, that cleaning up legacy banking frauds remains a long and ongoing process. All right, joining me on the show is Ashok Nag, former advisor to RBI. Also with us is Mithali Nikore, founder and chief economist, Nikore Associates. Thank you very much, the two of you, for taking time out on a Saturday. Mr. Nag, coming to you first, when a scandal of this magnitude comes to light, despite internal audits by the banks, despite RBI oversight, where exactly did the bank go wrong?
This is something very surprising to me, that this, reconstructions of this particular two companies are done in 2023. Okay, and there are two companies of the SARAI and SRFF. I think one was then reconstituted, and the COMD was a chief of the external, I think, SBI card. Okay, so these are all very, very you could say that very well understood, well understood by the kind of a people. But what is happening is that 2023 it was reconstituted, and you are 25 end, you are reporting to the RBI that it's a fraud. Why there was a no? Because RBI has given a new guideline for this management in 2024. If you look at it, 2024, which is replacing 2016 what are available that day. And if you look at this, there is a early warning system. So many other kind of things are there. If these are all being followed, why at this stage PNB is reporting to the RBI that, or obviously to all the because it is a listed company, SEBI and everybody, that 2025 end. Why this was not locked in and not informed to all the people after, and the kind of a early warning systems for kind of things are there in the 2024 your RBI guidelines for this management is something very I think RBI can only answer. We must also ask RBI why this 2 years have passed, more than that, for getting these things to the public. In
That's a
fact,
very
look at
important
this.
point. Very important point. Let me also take this question to Mithali Nikore. Mithali, apart from what Mr. Ashok Nag pointed out, that it's a little late. Good 2 years since the bank had the data but did not report it to RBI, or at least reported to the RBI, but the information did not come out in public. So that continues to be, of course, a point in concern. The other point is, of course, that there is a consistent issue here with legacy banks like PNB, that despite all the provisioning made, despite daily audits, RBI supervision, they still suffer from the bad loan issue.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think, see, in this particular instance, as we trace back the history of this particular company, we can see that as soon as the government of India's entire, sort of regulatory architecture came into place, the insolvency boards were constituted. This was one of the first companies to actually go into the entire insolvency process in 2021. And even then, it took almost 2 years for NARCL to come on board, to become, one of the resolution providers, to take over SREI debts. So, and the debts actually even today are in the tune of nearly 32,000 to 35,000 crores, which is not, I mean, it's not a small amount by any stretch of imagination. So, the fact that a company of this magnitude, even if it's an infrastructure finance company, why was it even allowed to accumulate such large debts? Is also something that we must question, and we must take a learning from that. Even if it's an infrastructure finance company where you do have large loan sizes, where you do have large debt sizes, there have to be some limits that have to be put in place, that beyond this certain amount, a company cannot accumulate debt at all. And the other point is that, in this particular instance, again, the auditors, there were 4 or 5 auditors that the company went through. And one of the auditors, that was KPMG, actually flagged in their forensic audit about several financial irregularities. And at the time when it went into insolvency, also, these financial irregularities were known. So, again, the fact that PNB is reporting this only now is definitely one question. And the other question for me is really, how do you let any infrastructure finance company accumulate such large levels of debt when you don't have a debt management plan? And why is it that the board was not asking for a debt management plan in this situation? And this has broader implications for the entire infrastructure finance industry.
And we are only wiser in hindsight, but there have been way too many issues, as I pointed out, with the Mehul Choksi saga as well. And the board should have been wiser here. It wasn't, unfortunately. Ashok Nag, one of the concerns, of course, is that bank says we've made provisions for this bad loan, but that's just one-off case. Who should be made accountable? Because clearly it cannot be the borrower alone. I mean, how about accountability of the bank officials? How about the accountability of the regulator, Ashok Nag?
There, obviously, you are very right if you are saying that you have to hold accountable not only the banks but also the regulator. Because if you look at the regulatory kind of a 2024, the RBI circular, it's a very, 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 very well written, very extremely, but was it followed? See, you are supposed to report these things. RBI has a huge kind of database, that is called Central Depository of Information of Large Credits. Obviously, this credit must be large credit, more than 1,000 crores. And these things are there in your own database. And you have so many other ways to get data. Why this bank, this particular company and particular bank was delaying this so much? The quicker you take the action, that you can at least think of it, you can recover a lot of banks' money. But now what has happened, you have given a big kind of leeway to them, and now what will happen, it is almost impossible, or very little you can recover with the bank. So that means that bank of the size PNB, 2,500 crore is not a very big deal, no doubt about it. They can wait it up full day thing. But point is that this is the practice within the bank. Is something has to be understood, and something has to be established properly. It is not something, it is a small, according to me, it's not a very big kind of a fraud. 2,500 crores is not a big number in today's world. But the practice of the bank and practice of the regulator, how they're monitoring them. Because if you read this particular document, 2024, it's so elaborate, so elaborate. Now, they are saying that you have to have a data analytics committee for doing this, data analytics committee, when this fraud has been reported. But where is that last 2 years? Where is the data analytics committee's report? Have we got it?
Where's the report? And the report obviously took good 2 years to come out. Mithali Nikore, what does it mean for taxpayers and depositors? While public sector bank is saying that we are going to absorb the losses, but ultimately it's the ordinary citizens' money.
Exactly, exactly. And I think at some point in time, in this country, we have to safeguard the taxpayers. I mean, we have seen this again and again in fraud after fraud, in situation after situation. The taxpayer is bailing out the billionaire. And at some point, this has to stop. We have to have a situation where, in such situations, it really should not be the liability of the taxpayer or of a public sector bank which is funded by you and me, to be bailing out these billionaires who are then posting videos. I mean, I don't know if you saw that viral video of two billionaires from London laughing about the fact that they are now there, and that they don't need to come back to India. I mean, honestly, it's time that the government holds these billionaires and these large, capital holders accountable and safeguards the interests of the common taxpayer, because it really should not be up to us to bail out, these fraudsters.
Absolutely. I mean, you put it very appropriately, Mithali. It couldn't have been put more appropriately. It's the taxpayers of this country who are bailing these people out, and they go and enjoy in foreign soils where they push out photographs and celebratory videos of them saying that they are free, and now that they have looted the country, they are abroad on a soil where they cannot be brought back, so they are protected. And it's ultimately we, the common people of this country, who end up being losers. So perhaps better safeguards are also needed at this point. Thank you very much, the two of you.